All of a sudden, I like can't move. Finally, there's a break in contractions. I make a run to the car. Have no idea that all I'm wearing as I show up to the hospital is a thong and a t-shirt. No shoes, no pants.
Welcome, Jen.
Thanks for having me. I feel like my whole world is just coming full circle right now.
Let's kick things off. I know you also, like me, have two daughters, and I would love to hear a little bit more about your kiddos and your family life.
Yes, so I have two girls. They are 7 and 4. And I feel like we've entered this whole new stage of motherhood right now with a 7-year-old where she's not really like a little kid anymore. She feels like she's really giving us like teenage glimpses, which is sometimes cool and sometimes a little scary.
Sounds like you grew up at Ellen a little bit, and you were working in the television industry, and then, sort of went off on your own. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how motherhood, or even potential motherhood, shaped your choices.
Yeah, totally. So I was at Ellen for 4 years, and it was amazing. I think I have told you that. Like, I feel like I totally grew up on that show. About 4 years in, I was doing a lot of side projects and really wanted to kind of like go off and do some other things. And so I started doing a lot of like freelance commercial work, some red carpet work, all of these things. It was so fun. Like, no 2 days were the same. It was right up my alley. I love like variation and novelty, and it was awesome. And then I had Parker, and all of a sudden it was like not so awesome to be like leaving the house at 6 a.m. and driving to Malibu for these like 14-hour long set days. I remember one time I was listening to a podcast of this other wardrobe stylist that I really respect, and she's had such an incredible career. And there was a part of me that was like, oh man, like if I just stayed with it, like I wonder what I would have done. And then the very last question that the host asked her was like, do you have any regrets? And she was like, I do regret not being around more when my kids were young. And it was kind of like, that was the choice that I made. And I feel really, really great about it. So it was the right thing for me. I think that every phase of life requires like a new assessment of what's working, what isn't working. Like the routine that's working for us right now, like probably won't be the same in 6 months, and definitely wasn't the same 6 months prior. So kind of asking, like, if there's a point in the day that's like causing a lot of stress, like being a little bit mindful around it and saying like, I wonder what we need to do here. Like, are we oversubscribed to things? Do I need to wake up earlier? Do they need to go to bed earlier? Like, just being mindful of that. So like, yeah, my kids go to bed super early because that is when I get a lot of work done.
When the 4-year-old wakes up in the night, you can't just ignore them like
Right.
An under 2-year-old who cries and you're like, you just check the monitor, they're safe, whatever. 4-year-old's like, hello, like,
Right.
Please come down here. I have formful sentences. I told her that as soon as I close the door, it is the middle of the night. So if you need to tell me something in the middle of the night, like that's when that begins. And so now our routine, which like, I don't know if it's the right choice because now it's part of the routine. I literally close the door and 30 seconds later I come in and say, Anoki, it's the middle of the night. What do you have to tell me? And then she always tells me some random fact or random feeling or random memory from the day. And then I'm like, okay, see you when the light's yellow. Bye. This is going to be a throwback for you. What's the weirdest place you ever pumped?
Ooh, it is even more of a throwback than you might think because my youngest never took a bottle. And so I have to throw it all the way back to my oldest. I would say maybe not weirdest, but the most awkward was like this one time on set where there was only one bathroom for the whole crew. So every 3 hours, I would have to lock myself in there. And this was 7 years ago. So like, they maybe don't make these noises anymore, but at the time the noise is like, like for 15 minutes. And people are like knocking on the door and I'm like, someone's in here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, embarrassing mom story? Recent?
Well, not recent.
It doesn't have to be recent.
My most embarrassing mom moment is probably when I was in labor with Ever. Like Ever's labor was so fast and I wasn't expecting it because Parker was like 38-hour labor. So my water breaks with Ever. I like take everything off from the waist down. My contractions get really intense. I grab a thong from the laundry room. All of a sudden I like can't move. Finally, there's a break in contractions. I make a run to the car. have no idea that all I'm wearing as I show up to the hospital is a thong and a t-shirt, no shoes, no pants. And I didn't even realize it until like my doctor's there with the wheelchair. And I can still in this moment, like the visceral feeling of like that faux poly plastic leather of a wheelchair on like bare ass cheek. And it was like, oh, I have no pants in this situation.
That's amazing. That is an incredible visual. You're a hero. The 38-hour labor that I know was the previous kid is insane. And then, okay, we just have time for one more question, which is, what is the greatest gift or piece of advice another parent has given you?
My grandmother used to always say, there will always be people that have more than you, and there will always be people that have less than you. And just, she was like really into like being content with what you have. And I think it's so true in motherhood. Like there will always be parents whose kids sleep better, or who have easier temperaments to parent, or whose situations just like look set up more nicely, and just like being happy with, you know, sort of like what you've got and making the most of like whatever hand that is. And yeah, I feel like finding contentment just like unlocks all of this joy.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you, Jen. These 30 minutes flew by. For those of you that are watching, thank you for tuning into Mom Hive. We'll be back next week, and be sure to follow at Jen Pinkston and at Shop La Paloma for many more tidbits and stylish articles and so on. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.
And